Well, Jacob Song, Dr. Jacob Song, had an emergency, had to go back to the hospital. Brandy finished a third beer, which pretty much made her extremely tired. She went to her bedroom with the help of Ester and Dae. Excuse me. And was out for the night. Ester said, "Let's go to the middle bedroom where I have some computers set up for us." She said, "We have a TV, but I never watch it. And the computer, we can do just about anything we want." So Esther and Dae went into the middle bedroom, and the left side of the bedroom was sliding doors to a long, very long closet. And she slid the doors to the right, and some lights came on, and two computers woke up. And there was two chairs in front of them that the girls pulled out, and they were able to sit there and start up the computers and work on them. Esther told Dae her password was Sister 2012, and they typed that in and was extremely excited. The computer was very fast, and so they started typing at a blazing speed. She said that she had a lot of different Gothic websites that she visited, along with the WOW, World Organization of Wrestlers website, that she would visit. And so for about 15-20 minutes, they were on the computers on the internet. They used headphones. Esther had explained with the headphones they could talk to each other, and the extraneous sounds were filtered out. If they chose to, Control A, they could see or hear whatever's going on in Aunt Brandy's bedroom, and Control H, they could see outside in the hallway what was happening. And so, while enjoying the internet, all of a sudden, on the computer screen, a small window opened up showing someone at the front door. And so Esther typed in, and they typed it in also, Control H, and they could see it was Raven out in the hallway, and she looked rather excited. So they both put down their headphones and went to the front door and opened it, and Raven came in. She was exhausted. She could barely talk, and she was frantic, and she didn't make a lot of sense. And so Esther asked Dae to hold her, and In a couple of seconds, she came back and said, "Okay, now, Raven, trust me, open your mouth." And Esther put a butterscotch rum lifesaver in her mouth. And she said, "Now suck on this." She said, "Suck on it for a couple of minutes here. And so that'll relax you. Catch your breath." Raven had practically ran to Esther's apartment from where she lived, which was quite some distance. And so when she was finally able to speak, she told Esther that she had a half-sister. Her half-sister's name is Riley Grace. And for some reason, Riley Grace's mother showed up today and dumped off Riley Grace and left her for the weekend, telling her father that she had to leave town. And Riley said, I just didn't like this because I had planned on having my father all to myself for the weekend. And here I have to now share him with my half-sister. And she said, I wasn't very, very good. I wasn't very pleasant to Riley Grace, and I really wasn't a good sister. But she said, I was on the phone with Chris, and somebody rang on the doorbell, and I yelled to Riley Grace to get it, but she wasn't there, so I went and looked, and I looked out the peephole, and it was somebody with a clipboard, and I asked what it was, and he said he had a package to deliver. So I had a chain on the door, but when I cracked it open to look, the man broke the door down, pushing me in, and there was 3 of them. And they hunted the house and found Riley Grace and grabbed her. The 2 men took her outside. The one man handed me a phone and told me that they would contact me tomorrow with some instructions, that they wanted my dad to get $1 million out of the bank that he works at, or else Riley Grace would die. And he said, once they get their money, they'd release Riley Grace. Well, Esther, Raven told Esther she didn't believe these people would let Riley Grace live, even if they got the money. But she said, before they took Riley Grace, she gave me a hug and said, go get Esther. And so she knew about you, and she knew what you had done for me. And so she thinks you can help. She said, can you, Esther? Can you help get Riley Grace back? And Esther said, let's go to my 3rd bedroom and we'll make a phone call on the computer. And so they walked into the 3rd bedroom. This time, Esther slid the sliding doors to the left instead of to the right. And there was a large reinforced metal wall behind the sliding doors, and there was a window there that Esther put her hand on, and a laser came down and scanned her palm print. And then there was a suction sound, and oddly enough, it was a door, the metal door that actually slid open, and a computer immediately came to life. There was a stool there. Esther sat on it. She did some quick typing. She took the phone and broke it open, pulled the chip out from the inside, and put it in an adapter. And then within a couple seconds while she was doing that, a man came on the computer screen and said, "What can I do for you, Esther, tonight?" It was John, someone that Esther knew that was her dad's best friend. And Esther told him, "I've got a chip out of a phone I would like you to process very quickly and tell me everything that's on it." And John said, "All right, send it to me." Esther sent it, and he said, "Give me 6 minutes, and I'll get back to you." And so, while he was evaluating this information off the chip, Esther explained to the girls, John was her dad's best friend, and he is now in charge of an elite group, federal group, fighting terrorists in this country. And they're stationed in Chicago. And the girls had noticed in this closet space some guns, and they asked Esther, "Why do you have these guns here?" And Esther thought for a second and said, "Well, you know, my dad told me once that if you ever take a weapon away from somebody, you never give it back to them." And Esther explained, the top gun I took from the security at the mall. The bottom gun I took from someone that was threatening a friend of mine. And the other gun had belonged to a friend of his that really he was going to harm himself with it, and she took it away from him. And John finally came back while they were talking, and John expressed some bad news. He said, "It looks like this phone had been used to call some terrorists in Eastern Europe that they tend to kidnap children for ransom." And he said, "And very seldom do the children get returned." He said, "We know they're in this country, but we're not certain what their goal is in this country." And John asked, "So what's the status? What's this about?" Esther explained, "Well, they took the sister of one of my best friends, and I want to get her back." And then Esther smiled at John and said, John, I really kind of like clearance number 1 on this. John said, give me a second, Esther. And he came back within 15, 20 seconds. He said, Esther, we've got 12 men located in a downtown warehouse. I'll send you the coordinates, address. It appears that there's 2 on each floor, and the hostage must be on the 6th floor. And he said, Esther, you go ahead and do what you have to do, but please don't burn the building down. There might be some valuable information in there. And Esther said, John, you can count on me. I will not burn the building down. And so John said, keep me informed. Esther said, just have a cleanup crew ready for when I call you. And Esther said, later, disconnected the computer. And Esther said, let's go out to the other room. She stripped down and changed her clothes and put on all black clothing except for a very red leather jacket, and she prepared a bag with half a bottle of half-filled alcohol. I believe it was, it doesn't matter, but I believe it was Jack Daniels. And Esther could tell Raven and Dae wanted to help. So she said, all right, you 2 can help. We're going to get your sister back, Raven, but I need both of you to do exactly as I ask. And if you do that, we'll get your little sister out of there tonight. Does she like cold pizza? And Raven looked puzzled and said, well, that's her favorite meal. And Esther said, well, Dae and I made pizza tonight, and before the night's over, we'll all be eating cold pizza. And so the girls got ready, and Esther was about to explain her plan.